All right, we are ready to roll. So again, thank you for being here. Welcome. Welcome to January. We have our first family engagement meeting of the year. We'll meet today from 10 o'clock to 11:30. And as I mentioned, we will record this meeting and post it on the RPS website later for people to access as they wish. So we're going to get started today with some quick introductions in the chat. We have a lot of people who are logging on. Many of you know each other, but we'll do quick intro in the chat. Go ahead and type your name and your connections to RPS. Some of you might have multiple connections. Maybe you're a parent, maybe you're a staff member, community member. Go ahead and add the multiple connections you have. And then today we're thinking a little bit about languages. So feel free to add in any languages you know or would like to learn or are just interested in. So you can go ahead and add that to the chat and you'll hopefully see a whole variety of our community members adding their information as well. Let me give you just a moment to do that. And then we will talk a little bit about who we have here. Wonderful. I'm seeing a lot of great things in the chat. Thank you for introducing yourselves that way. My name is Jennifer Spindler-Craig. I'm the coordinator of family engagement here in Rochester Public Schools. And I am also a parent of RPS students and have lived in Rochester for the last 24 years. So a longtime Rochester resident. And I have been in Rochester Public Schools as a teacher, instructional coach, completed my principal internships here, and am now coordinator of family engagement. So I have lots of connections to Rochester and Rochester Public Schools. And I see that we have lots of great introductions. We have people representing a whole variety of different roles here. Parents as well as community members, community group representatives, and I see lots of people starting to add the language. So that's fun to see that, Peter, that you mentioned, you'd love to learn Spanish because we're going to be talking a little bit about Spanish today as one of our focus points when we hear from some speakers coming up. All right, thank you for those introductions. Great to learn a little bit more about who we have with us. So as we get started today, know that everyone is welcome here at our monthly family engagement meeting. And I want to extend that welcome. We have family members, staff members. We have Director Don Barlow with us today as we have some shifting of our school board representation here in our family engagement committee. So welcome Director Barlow as well. And lots of community site facilitators with us. As we get started, I'd like to remember that the RPS sites are situated on the ancestral lands of the Dakota people. And we acknowledge and honor the Dakota nations and the sacred land of all Indigenous peoples. And we keep that idea of equity with us as we proceed with our meeting, because family engagement, of course, is grounded in the Department of Equity and Engagement. And it is an equity mission, family engagement. So we keep that, that philosophy as we go forward with our meeting. Our agenda for today, we have a lot of great things today, and I hope that you'll enjoy some of our presentations and speakers. We'll start things off with some family engagement success sharing, hearing a little bit about what's been going on at some of the sites around the district and what fun things are coming up. We're also going to be hearing from ACLA, Gloria Torres Herbeck is going to give us some information about ACLA and how it connects to RPS family engagement. We're going to be hearing a little bit and having conversation with Ivan Hernandez Vargas, who is a parent and was a student and is now an employee in Rochester Public Schools. So we'll hear a little bit about her perspective on family engagement based on the many experiences that she's had as a member of a multilingual family here in the district. And then we're going to have some overview and discussion about the Minnesota Family Engagement Model, which we've talked about just a little bit in the past, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that today. Next month, we're going to dig into it and really look at some details of it. So today we'll get a bit of an overview, next month a little bit more in depth. And we'll finish things off with some updates and good news from the community as well. So that's our plan. And with that, let's hear a little bit from some of you. So sharing out, what are some of the bright moments in RPS family engagement from the past month or two? It feels like it's been a while since I've seen you. We had December, we had some snow days, there was winter break, and here we are, all of a sudden it's January. Are there some highlights of things that have been going on at your sites or in the district that you'd like to tell us about? Feel free to turn on your microphone. Love to hear your voices as well.
We had our first Volunteer and Connect since COVID, which Volunteer Connect, there were 3 preschool preschool classrooms at Hoover that wanted to have parents in. And so they come and they spend an hour in the classroom volunteering. And then we spent 45 minutes in a parent group getting to know each other and talking about parenting. It was so refreshing to have them back since COVID. We haven't done that in the preschool classrooms. We've done it in our normal ECFE, but so that was fun.
Oh, I love that. That's great. And was it well received? How did you feel about it?
I think we had 29 parents. Yeah, it was good.
Good turnout. And that's nice to hear about what's going on in that early childhood world. So starting to come back now post-COVID, some of those things that are in person and experiential. Great news. I like it. All right. I see Lisa added in the chat. Lisa, would you like to tell us at all about the Riverside event, or would you like us to just read it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just right after school today, and we're going to give this a try. And we have other things that you can play with in the snow, like molds and like some environmentally friendly paint that you can paint in the snow. And then the FSC has snowshoes that they loan out for family engagement. So we're going to try those out. They're sitting in big tubs right here in my room. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes.
That's great. I heard that you checked some out and Franklin Elementary checked some out. We have snowshoes and some other things here. If in the Title I lending library that Title I schools sometimes check out to use for some of those events. So that is really, really exciting. And tonight's probably a really nice night to be outside with hot chocolate and cookies. Great idea. Good to be able to enjoy the snow. Is anybody else having outdoor events? I think Jefferson Elementary has one coming up in about a week. Something kind of like what you're talking about, Lisa. And Franklin has a similar event outside, getting families gathered together for some good outdoor time.
Right. Gage had our winter stories last night. So we did stories by oral tradition, song, writing, poetry, and read aloud. And we had cupcakes and cookies, and I think we had 750 plus people here. So it was quite an event. Thanks to Julie for making sure that we had lots of hot chocolate. We've done sledding in the past, Lisa. It's super fun. This year we decided to go with the story theme.
We do a lot of family sledding by grade level. So first grade families will be sledding on Thursday this week.
That's great. And Peter, were you able to go to the event at Gage last night?
Yes, I was. I have twin first graders there. It was very busy, and which was good. Like very busy in a good way. It's obvious that everybody is out of practice for having giant events like that. But the kids loved it. My twin 20-month-olds were just in awe of everybody. They were just staring and looking. And once the kids started singing, they stopped eating, they stopped drinking, they stopped fidgeting. They were just focused. So it was awesome to see everybody there.
It was fantastic. It was like one of those things where you're like, maybe 10 people will come or maybe 500 people will come. But then we had 750 people sign in. So I'm guessing we had more than that. Always a problem to have is where you need to pull more chairs and pull more things. So it was a great time. We can tweak it for next time. But like Peter said, we were a little out of practice. We didn't know we'd have that many people attend. So it was really great.
It was great. I was able to stop by that event as well, and was so impressed with the number of people. It was a beautiful event. Parents were really happy to be there and enjoyed the social experience as well. And another thing that people mentioned was how nice the timing was. I'm not sure if you've had feedback about that timing, because you offered it at 4 o'clock. And so I'm not sure if you've thought a lot about like what time is best, but it seemed like a lot of families really liked that, right after pickup time event.
Yeah, we've had mixed reviews. I think it was a fantastic time. You always have to, the weather was good for it. So, because we thought like, how long are people gonna have to wait outside? There's lots of logistics behind the scenes, but yeah, we might push it back a tiny bit later, but still in that range. Seems to me if people go home, they don't always want to come back out in the winter. So we'll see.
Well, really nice. Fun to hear about these events. And anything that any school sites or groups are looking forward to, planning on coming up that we didn't talk about yet?
We have our, we're doing a bingo night in February, which is always a huge hit. But then our first grade team, they're doing like a readers theater for their parents. So that will be, we had to reschedule from before winter break. They'll be doing it now January 20th. So they're very excited about that. And they've been, I could tell you all the stories they're going to do. I've got them memorized because those kids are so excited. So
they're really preparing. Wonderful. Good news. All right. Well, good. There are going to be quite a few things coming up over the next couple of months. So in February, we'll do another update about all the fun that January brought. Thanks for sharing. Good to hear those ideas. And that leads us into some conversation that I think is going to be pretty interesting for some of us. We started off the day by thinking about languages, and we have with us our friend and colleague, Gloria Torres Herbeck. Hello, Gloria. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
And Gloria has been a teacher, Spanish teacher in Rochester Public Schools, is a Spanish teacher at John Adams currently, and is a very involved community member and advocate, and is going to talk with us a little bit about the organization known as ACLA today. And Gloria, thank you so much for joining us and talking about ACLA. It has such important connections to family engagement in RPS, and I know that it's kind of your specialty is thinking about how does this connect with and really help to empower students. So I'd love to share your slides that you put together and turn things over to you to tell us all about it.
Thank you. Well, I used to be at Gage, and I see my colleagues, Heidi. I love Gage, and I miss you guys too, and Julie. So great to see many of you here. So, so ACLA is organization, is a nonprofit organization that let me fix my camera. I think I'm kind of crooked there. Um, so this organization was created in 2004. Julie was part of ACLA in many ways, and I can tell you in a little bit. But this is an alliance of Chicano, Hispanic, and Latin Americans. It's a nonprofit organization, so it's based on volunteers. So we can go to the next slide. So in this slide, you can see who are the members. All of us have full-time jobs, and we do this as a side job, as a volunteer. So I'm the current president, Angel Morales, that many of you may know him. He is a vice president, Miguel Valdez, he's treasurer. He works at Mayo Clinic. Sandy Seymour, she works at Families First. Liliana Arroyave, she works at RCTC as a Spanish teacher. Miriam Goodson, many of you know him, know her. She is a counselor now at, I believe, is Overland. Rebecca Sedarsky, she works for the state. Abdias Chavez, he's a kind of advisor for us in finances. Enrique Zavala, he's also a board member, and he works in manufacture. Alejandra Slow, she is a police officer in the city. And Criselda Martinez, she works also at Gage. She is a second grade teacher. Yeah, she's awesome. Alejandra and Criselda just joined us last couple months ago. So we don't have their pictures and everything else, but we have a great group of people with great background, and so we help each other. So in the next slide, I can tell you what is our mission. So what we do in our community or in our organization is to help our community by empower them, by bringing them the tools that they may need. So we are a bridge. We don't fix the problems. We kind of throughout the years, we gain information and gain some knowledge, and we pass that to the people that they need us. We are kind of a bridge between the Hispanic community and the services that we have in the city and the surrounding area. We do things as it comes. We don't have a set of things that we do both month by month or day by day. We are problem fixers. So whatever it comes, we try to help anyone. So we are trying to empower and we educate people, and I can show you some examples of what we do and who we collaborate. So in the next slide, we can see. So ACLA helps the Hispanic community by tutoring programs. And I will show you in a little bit what the tutoring program looks like. We empower the Latino community with some connections with the professional and health services. So, and we service the Latino community by bridging them to the services that they provide in Rochester area. It doesn't have to be only in Rochester, but it can be also in the cities. We are making connections with the state facilities to create some opportunities for services and professional development. So the tutoring program is in the next slide. So in this, so Juntos program is a tutoring program that is done every Saturday. However, this has been on pause since COVID. But since 2004, Miriam Goodson created this tutoring program every Saturday from 10 to 2. Kids will show up, just come and do some, do some help on homework or just math problems. Now, this was two part, one for students and another part is for adults, which Julie helped us and helped me personally in the adult section. So there were two classrooms. Students will go to the math tutoring and the English or other education services were done in another classroom. And most of them, it was for parents that they didn't speak the language. So it was English classes, or, it could have been, what is a vaccine or anything for newcomers, for families. They will provide not only tutoring, but sometimes services and connections of where to get anything. So Julie was my teacher for a while when I came and I needed to pass some tests in my master's. She helped me so much. So thanks, Julie.
Good collaboration.
Yes. So that is happening in a Juntos program now. We are trying to partner with Rochester Public Schools to kind of open more ways to do this because we need tutors. We need ways to have tutors every weekend. Liliana Royabet, who's in our board, she used to bring some of her students to tutor and be exposed to the Hispanic community as a part of her foreign language classes. But with COVID, everything is starting to disappear. And so it takes a village to do this. So we are on the process to get it started probably next month, but we're not, we don't have everything together. So that's one of the things that we do. Can we go to the next slide?
Sure.
So there is another service that we do. This is Pata de Perro, and is a bike club. Pata de Perro in Spanish is kind of a slang. It's a person that is never at home. It's always outside. So perro is a dog. So it's like a street dog. It's always outside. And Miguel created this club. They meet in spring, summer, and fall. And at the beginning is with a big opening with a bike swap. So people bring their bikes, they can swap for a very affordable amount, $10 or so, to get a better bike. For that, we do the bike swap is in the beginning, is usually in May, beginning of May. And then the rest of the spring, summer, and fall, every Wednesday or Thursday, they've been changing. They have some volunteers that they come and fix bikes. And there is a kind of commitment to anyone that it comes and said, you can have a free bike, but you need to come and learn how to fix your bike and come and help once. And they get free bike. So how this started, it was because Miriam and Miguel did a summer program, just because they're such good people. And they wanted to bring them to different places, but they did realize that they didn't have good transportation. And so they said, well, we have some people that they have bikes, and we can ask them, and that's how it started. Now they have two places. One is in this alley that is behind the old senior citizen, the castle. There is an alley, and that's where it's based in spring, summer, or fall. Right now, we have a place in the old fire station by Silver Lake. They are doing the orange bikes. They get together, but it is on Thursday mornings. So they are rolling, and they have a lot of volunteers, and they are working pretty much at their own now. ACLA is their organization, but they are working very, very hard, and they have been giving a lot of bikes. So, so that is for Pata de Perro. Another service that we do is in the next slide is educational. Educational about our culture. So when I came to the United States, actually was a programmer from IBM. And when I started working, I realized that it was a big misconception of who we were as a Hispanics. So I changed my degree to become a teacher. And since then, it has been my passion to educate everyone about my community. The Latino Fest is a good way to display who are we as Latinos. We have dances, we have the people that, like in there, I have my friends from Colombia showing and getting the display, and we have also the altar for the Day of the Dead. So there is no misconception. So what that means. The Latino Fest, we have the Aztec dancers. So it's a way to break those stereotypes, and we do in different ways. We can usually some organizations like Diversity Council invite us to help them breaking stereotypes. But the Latino Fest, it was a good way to display who we were, who we are, and the gifts that we bring to the community as well. So that is another thing that we do. In the other slide, we have the list of who we collaborate with. So Rochester Healthy Community Partnership is a branch from Mayo Clinic, and they do research, and I'm also part of that as an employee. We do food drives. When it was in COVID time, we did that weekly. We have people come in and help us to drop off some food in different places. We partner with Vincent of St. Paul or other organizations that they are faith-based. Coalition we have with Rochester Unidos, Rochester Public Schools, Diversity Council. ACER is based in the cities. Community Health Services, that is gives a lot of services to the immigrants and is in the Heinz Center. Somos Latinos and IMAA. So, and the list keeps growing by day. It's just, so whenever the city asks us to translate something for the workforce, we did the translation, we did the video for them. So examples of how we did is with RSCP, we did vaccination clinics. And I'm so proud to tell you that we did vaccination clinics also in Rochester Public Schools in collaboration with Rochester Community Partnership and as ACLA. Other collaborations is we do census. We help with that with the city. We have been doing some surveys for Diversity Council. So you name it. just tell us, and we tried our best. And the last one is a partnership with Consulado Mexicano. So once or twice a year, we bring the Consul of Mexico to help the Hispanic community that they come from not only Rochester, but is Rochester area. They also come from even from Iowa to do their paperwork. It can be passport or matricula consular on Saturday, on a Saturday, and they usually have 250 people come or more to get their paperwork, and we host that. So that is ACLA. We are just a few volunteers that we are trying to help and reach our community here. If you are interested of learning more, I know there's more things that I can share with you, but I think we don't have enough time. So you guys can go to the website. Latino Fest was this year was in October 2nd, I believe, or 7th. I don't. I think we are trying to do it during Hispanic Heritage Month, which is September 15 to October 15. So we don't want to do it too close to the Butterfly Fest that now is new to the community. We used to do it in between the summertime and beginning of Hispanic Heritage Month. But that's usually September or October. And this year, the Mayor Norton came and did the proclamation of Hispanic heritage, which is a big privilege to have people. So thank you. If you guys have
Gloria,
any...
do you?
Yep.
Yeah, do you have time for a couple of questions? Is that okay? You did
Yes.
an amazing presentation, and I love the range of work that ACLA is doing. There's so much, and there are just so many ways that your organization serves as a bridge, as you said, and lots of points of collaboration. And there might be a few questions from our group. Any things that are burning questions?
And I see a message from Joanne. I know Joanne has helped the Bike Club multiple times. So thank you. This is an example of a collaboration with everyone. So thanks.
That's another good point. So we have that collaboration, of course, with the county and the school district and our community partners with ACLA. So lots of good collaboration.
Yes.
There was something that came up. Director Barlow has a question or comment.
Yes.
Question, yes. So you mentioned a desire for tutors, and you've reached out to, or are you planning on reaching out to Rochester Public Schools? And where are you in that endeavor? And how can I, as a school board member, perhaps support that effort?
Oh, thank you. So my first step, because I teach at John Adams, I'm working with Eric here, and he is kind of helping us figure out what it would be support that they can offer. So I'm doing little steps here. We wanted to go to the high schools for looking for students that they can also do the tutoring. You know, they can come and do their hours for honors classes that they may require to do. But we started with Eric. So I'm waiting for Eric to give us ideas where to go. And he was going to give us some contacts. But yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's good for us to think about. Something we could talk about again in the future. we know that, 3 to 4% of our Rochester Public Schools families are Spanish-speaking families, and that component of tutoring has been a really strong aspect of your organization. So that's something that would be really, really relevant and important for us to collaborate on.
Yeah, and I haven't. Amy posted a message, a note here. Have you connected to Living Tutors? No, I haven't, but it's a great idea. So when we're ready to start with the tutoring program, maybe I can. Jennifer, is that okay if I can send you, and maybe you guys can help us find some tutors? We're planning to do something like a sign-up genius, and so we can fill the weekends before we get started. Yeah, thank you. And UMR.
That's a great idea too.
Yeah, thank you, Deb.
I like that. So nice idea from Deborah. And this could be a topic we could do some more brainstorming and collaborating on, because that is a really really nice to work with the existing programming that is functioning really well for you, and to see what can we do to support that. It's already really effective. Can we get some other resources connected with you that would support it?
Well, thank you so much. And I'll stay around. I know that you have more people, but please feel free to contact us through email. That's the best way to contact us, or the email that is for ACLA, or my personal, my school email will be, I'll be happy to do anything that you guys would like us to help. Thank you.
I know we're just about ready. We're going to transition to hear from Yvonne in just a moment. There is a question from Brian that is a great question when we're thinking about terminology, because of course we have an audience of people who want to be culturally responsive and use terminology that is reflective and appropriate. And so that question Brian put in the chat is, what do Chicano, Hispanic, Latin American mean? When should we use one of those terms versus Latinx or other terminology?
Yes, great question. Thank you, Brian. So Chicano is a population that lived in South of United States. That's the area that they are Mexican descendants. They were Mexicans before the border crossed them. They didn't cross the border. Many of them, they speak the language and they are very passionate. They are very devoted to say, my heritage is Mexican. Those are Chicanos, and they identify themselves as Chicanos. Hispanic is a person that it comes from a country that is a Spanish speaker, Spanish. So can you find the word hidden in there? Spain, Spanish kind of thing. So that is all the Spanish-speaking countries, including Spain. And pretty much you're going to see all the countries that they are in Mexico, Caribbean, South America, Central America, except for Brazil. And there is a country also in Africa that is Guinea Equatorial that speaks Spanish in Africa. So, and Latin American is a country that is more in geography, is in America, and they come from the Latin, and it is also Brazil that speak Portuguese. So all the countries in America that is Spanish speakers, except for Spain and Guinea Equatorial, because Spain is in Europe and Guinea Equatorial is in Africa. So good question. I hope this helps.
It's helpful, and I know that sometimes people might have questions about what's the appropriate terminology, so that helps to clarify. And Would you say, Gloria, that it would be acceptable to ask someone their preferred term if we need to just ask someone directly?
That's something that not Hispanics, we don't ask about our ancestry or our descendants, and it can be almost surprising, and it can be also taken as rude. I was like, why you need to know my ancestry? Because there's no many cultures mixed in the Hispanic countries. Pretty much everybody is Hispanic. So if you go to Mexico, they ask you what you're from, or where is your descendant. You said Spanish, Mexican, or Colombian. We don't have much of ancestry as it is here. More people will say, I am Irish. Here in America, that is the way that it is, because we were kind of segregated, or people were segregated by their ethnic groups. But in Mexico and in the Latin American countries, we don't. We have the same history for colonization, so it is a little bit different.
And that fits with the premise of how you have ACLA, with inclusiveness of all of these terms in the title. So that's very very good. Gloria, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It's wonderful to hear all about ACLA, about your connection to it, and let's plan for some more follow-up and discussion about how we can strengthen the collaboration that we have in family engagement between our groups.
Yes. Thank you so much. I'm going to run because my class is coming in 5 minutes.
Well, okay, we heard the bell.
Okay. Have a wonderful day. Nice meeting you, everyone. Goodbye.
Yes, Gloria. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Well, thank you to Gloria. And as Gloria was finishing up there, we had our next presenter speaker joining us. And Yvonne, thank you for being patient. I know you're giving your time to join us, and my apologies for us being a little bit slow. We're so glad to have you here. I'm just going to introduce briefly Yvonne Hernandez Vargas. Some of you may know her, but she is my brilliant, talented friend who I've known for several years. And I asked her to speak today because I think she has such a unique and engaging perspective on family engagement. She is a senior program specialist at Hawthorne Education Center, which is Rochester's adult literacy program, where I taught for 18 years before being in this position. And she's a graduate of the Family Literacy Program, which is at Hawthorne, and the Bridges to College program, which is there as well. She's also the parent, Rochester Public Schools parent of 2 and soon to be 3 children, and has a multilingual family experience as a Spanish speaker, English speaker, and Yvonne, you said your husband, and you are learning some Arabic as well. So lots of great things about Yvonne. So instead of me telling you all the wonderful things about her, you get to hear from her yourself. So Yvonne graciously put together some slides and is sharing her time with us to tell us some things about her. I gave her a few questions to think about, and Yvonne, we can kind of do a little bit of conversation. And if anybody has questions or comments as we're going, feel free to let us know, and we can include you as well. So welcome, Yvonne. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. So yes, my name is Yvonne Hernandez Vargas, and I born in Mexico, and I moved to United States in 2007 from Mexico, and I live in Austin, Minnesota for a couple years, and then I moved to Rochester in 2016. And yeah, until now we live here. And here is the picture for my family, my 2 kids, my husband, and myself.
Yvonne, you mentioned to me that I know that your husband is from Iraq, you
Yes,
said.
correct. Yeah, he's from
And-
Iraq. I'm from Mexico. Yes.
And so I know that when we were talking about the languages in your household, you said that your first language and your son's is Spanish,
Yes, yes, that's correct.
and your husband's first language, Arabic,
Arabic, yes.
and the shared language of everybody in your household is English.
Yes, correct. We are a multicultural family. Yes.
Yeah, it's great. And this looks like a special occasion photo.
Yeah, this is when my husband get his was his ceremony after he got his citizenship. Yeah.
Exciting. Yes, and congratulations to him. It's a great photo. Fun to see your whole family. Now, I know you know some people who are here at this meeting. I think,
Yes.
Yvonne, you probably recognize some faces because they probably know your kids. So tell us about your children in
Yeah.
RPS.
So I have two boys. My first son, is 12 years old, and he's right now at Willow Creek Middle School, and he's in 6th grade. My second son, he will be 7 years old on February, and he's right now at Gage Elementary School. And both of them, they are in the Spanish immersion program. And my second son, he's in 1st grade, and also I'm pregnant, so the baby. I hope the baby will be in the Spanish immersion program after he start kindergarten. That's my goal, because we love the school Gage. I have more experience right now for Gage school, and we love that school. We love it, and it's very nice. They have the Spanish immersion program, so which is great for me. It's great. So yes, and
Yes.
they are here in the picture. My 12 years old and my second son.
They're beautiful children, and congratulations on the baby arriving soon. That is really exciting, and
Thank you.
and I like that you're planning. You have kindergarten all planned out, which is great.
Yes.
You have that to look forward to, and I think Paige is happy that that baby will be there. Did you choose the Spanish immersion program? How did you choose that program, Yvonne?
After we moved in 2016 in Rochester, I didn't know anything. I was new here. So because we live close to Gage, that was our school neighborhood. And after I went to orientation with them, I find out they have a Spanish immersion program. So they offer me to my son instead to go to kindergarten, like just English, to learn English. They told me about the Spanish immersion program, and they offer me, like, if I want, he go to this program, and I'm like, oh yeah. So from there I learned they have this beautiful program, and it's like, why not, even my son speaks Spanish, but he was speaking Spanish, and I'm like, will be helping to learn to write, and so from there he started kindergarten there at Gage. Yeah.
That's great to hear about. Thanks for explaining about that. And I was asking you some questions. I know that that you've told me a little bit about it. How do you feel when you and your family are at Gage?
We feel welcome. We feel happy. We love to come in there. We try to go every time they have any events. We went there. we we enjoy everything they make there, and I try to make time with my kids in the school, like to see the teachers. Right now, my older son, he's not anymore there. He loved to come in there because he know he will see a different teachers, was his teachers before. So he really loved to come in there and enjoy with other classmates he meet there too, and with his brother, and yeah. So we feel very good and happy to come in and welcome to the school. Everybody are nice with us, with everybody, not with only us, with everybody. So we love that.
In fact, I saw Yvonne there last night with your older son, who is graduated from Gage, but was there visiting with everybody and felt welcome and comfortable to be back.
Yes.
There's some wonderful photos here of some of your events. What are some of the things that happen at Gage that make you feel welcome?
Yeah. So like I mentioned before, is like they have a lot events, family events. We can come in. So I love when they have every year. I remember when my son start, they have like the carnival every year. It's something they did last year and they will do this year too also. So we super excited for that. Even my family, they not living here in Rochester, they come into those events because they love that too, So this is just examples for pictures I took it from the events we went. I have many, but I have no space to put it all the pictures. So but yeah, that's what many stuff they did in the school. And I talk it about Gage because I say I have more experience from that school instead to Willow. My son is new there and like that, and it's super different from middle school and elementary school. I think it's a little bit different, but yeah, we really love those things they make at Gage.
And so you're getting used to that transition, that middle school change. It is a big change. It's a big transition. And I remember that as a parent too, moving from elementary to middle school feels like a big shift, and needing to get to know everybody and connecting to the events feels a little bit different. So I hope that happens for you soon. So lovely photos. This looks like, is this Gio over here? Giovanni over here in the side when he was little?
Yeah, he's Giovanni.
And you know, I mean, look at how little he is.
Yeah.
Great photos. It's nice to see. I'm glad you have a good collection. How do you feel about communication between school and home?
Yeah. So, like, we speak Spanish and English at home, a little bit Arabic, but I don't have any problem, to be honest. It's super easy to call. If I need help or something in my own language, I don't have any problem. And for example, every time I receive emails, it's coming in my language, in Spanish. So it's more easy for me to understand. And even I know they have the option too, if you want any other language, if you want find out more information. But yeah, I speaking about my own language is easy, and yeah. If I need to speak with the principal or something like that in my own language because I feel more comfortable, it's not problem. It's not a problem. They find out any way to provide me the interpreter or something like that. So it's easy.
That's good to hear. I know that you're fluent in English and Spanish, and so that's probably not an obstacle for you. Good to know that you would have access, or that a family would have access to the interpreters if they needed it, if they asked for it, or if it were recognized that they needed it.
Yes.
Great to hear. Well, when Yvonne and I met, it was at Hawthorne Education Center, and this is another way that you are connected to family engagement in Rochester Public Schools. What was your experience in the family literacy program at Hawthorne?
This is another program I love that program because this is where my little son start, the 7 years old, he start at this school. During he learned here, I was taking classes here. Um, and I love that. In the beginning, to be honest, I was nervous. I don't know anything about it. I'm like, I don't know. I don't have an idea. After we learn, we love. We love to come in here at Hawthorne and join the family literacy program right here. Is very awesome. And um, always when somebody I know maybe they can be in this program, I recommend it always because is that's what I explain to them is like you coming with your kids here and they learn and you learn. You know, it's like and you are in the same building, which is very nice. And they learn a lot because my second son was have like a delay speech and after he start the school here he learned a lot. He learned a lot and he improving his language and everything. So really it's very helpful, all this program. And I loved it.
That's great to hear. For people who might not be familiar with the Family Literacy Program, it's located at Hawthorne Education Center, and there's space for about 30 adult students at a time, and there's a long waiting list. And as Yvonne said, the parents can take classes in English or GED classes or Bridges to College classes because there's a Bridges to College state appropriations grant that allows students to take RCTC classes at Hawthorne. Yeah. And that's what Yvonne did, took those Bridges to College classes. And at the same time, there's education for the children. And as Yvonne said, it's not nursery, it's not like daycare, it's not daycare only. No. It also involves a lot of, academic preparation. It's through ECFE, pair programming. And so it's a really wonderful collaboration and accommodates about 30 adults and then their children at a time. So good to hear about your experience there. Yeah. Well, of course, everyone at Hawthorne loved Yvonne, and Yvonne was just such a connector with people. And so after you completed the program at Hawthorne, Hawthorne was eager to hire you.
Yes.
Tell us about your position. Tell us what you do now.
Yeah. So after I've done with the program, they offer you for 3 years, this program, the Family Literacy Program, but I didn't complete the 3 years because my son, he will start kindergarten. So, and then I start looking for jobs and I applied to jobs. So during I do internship between Hawthorne and Northrop. So, and then they offer me jobs and I start apply here and there. And then finally I get a position here at Hawthorne. And my position is senior program specialist. It's basically, I help the students here in the computer lab make homework. We provide them like computers, iPads, if they needed to join online classes. Any kind of help they needed, they come in with us and we try to figure it out, what they need. And yeah, so it's basically with the college students, we interacting and with the ESL students too. So this is basically what I'm doing here at Hawthorne.
Yes, and as you can all imagine, the students seek Yvonne out for lots of support and assistance, and Hawthorne is very fortunate to have you work there. And each day at Hawthorne, there are about 500 students who are attending classes. Right now, because of the pandemic, about half might be in person and about half online, many of the students have continued with online classes. And Yvonne does a lot of work with the tech support as well as, you know, assisting with students as they work through their coursework as well. So lucky to have you. So because of all of these experiences that you've had, you have an amazing perspective, I think, on what some of the challenges might be for multilingual families, because you see that at your work, you've had some experience as a parent. What do you think are some of those challenges that families might have?
I think it is more like them, like when they, for example, sometimes here at Hadron, some parents came to me and they like, I receive a call, I receive an email from the school, and I don't know what this means, you know. So and they speak a different language, you know. So it's like basically, I try to find and translate for them, you know, like, oh, that's mean this, you know. Sometimes they confuse, like I need to go pick up my kids from school or like that, you know. So I think it is the language, you know. It's many language here in Rochester, and we have a couple, like what I say, I receive the emails in my language, in Spanish, English, and but I don't see the other languages, you know. So it would be nice, I think, if they can translate for the other families. Do they understand what is happening? Because sometimes they confuse about it, and I see it. I saw that here at my work.
Yes, that's a really good point. So that translation, and people might go to you with those emails that they're getting, or documents or phone calls, trying to figure out, you know,
Yeah.
what is this, and you try to work through that process with them of figuring out, you know, what is this messaging. So the language piece, translation, interpretation can be really helpful. And I know you added something here on your slide about understanding traditions and cultures.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, I forgot about it, but yes, that's true. It's about some people, they receive information about the events or something like that, but sometimes they feel like, no, you know, like, I don't know. I think if they learn about, if the schools learn about them cultural, make them welcome, you know, like, so they can interesting and coming to events or something like that will be nice. Yeah.
So having, because we have so many cultures in our school district, having more awareness all around of the multitude of cultures and traditions and languages, and that could be really beneficial for families and for staff as well.
Yeah.
And other suggestions that you have for Rochester Public Schools about how we can connect with families, how we can do better?
Like I say here, is basically like if they try to maybe send information in the family's language, like, you know, like, for example, I receive in my language, but if they find out the other language the families speak, will be nice. Maybe they like understand better and they feel welcome, you know, like, oh, okay, I know what they will what will be happening, and you know, maybe that's help to bring more families from different cultures. So if they learn about them cultures too, or maybe involve something about them cultures, them traditions, in some of the events will be nice, maybe.
Yeah, those are great ideas. And we know that about 13% of our families are multi-language families. And so that's a significant number of people when we're thinking about language and translations and cultures that we can honor and celebrate. And here's some photos of your beautiful kids.
Thank you. Yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about these photos?
This for us is basically the first photo with my son with the t-shirt from Gage was at Wendy's when a couple years ago they have those events, you know, and we went to all those events. The second picture is my son and his orientation at Willow Creek. The photo where is my two kids and myself. It was during, I think, 2021. Yeah, 2021. We was doing online classes and we came to Hadron. So they took the picture here at Hadron. We was wearing a mask and like that, but yeah.
Oh, those days. I'm
Yeah.
glad you could still go, at least, even all masked up.
Yeah, and the last picture is where the first days I start here at Hadron, taking classes, and my son start here at Family Literacy Program. So basically, it's like I know many like Gage and Hadron Family Literacy programs. Those are very good schools, and I love those schools. And always when I meet up people, I know they need maybe help. They want come in, or I know they can come in to learn English and can bring them kids here. So always I suggested to them to come in here at Hadron. And I told them my experience, you know, and I told them my experience about Gage. About Willow, I don't have a lot of experience, but I don't have anything bad to talking about them, you know. So, but yeah, it's basically Hadron and Engage. I have more experience, and always I try to tell the people like go apply here and there, and I love those schools, and really I appreciated everything. Yes.
Well, the feeling is mutual, Yvonne, because you are well loved, as is your family, in all of the places that you are talking about. And we're so grateful for all that you do in the school district with your family, with the work that you do, and for taking the time to so thoughtfully put together your slides with photos and your information. That was very generous of you to give us your time and your thoughts. And I'm wondering if you would have just another minute or two if anyone has questions for you.
Yes.
All right, let's see. Do we have any questions or comments from our group?
I just have a quick comment. Yvonne, thank you as a member of the school board. What you have shared has really helped me to better understand and to appreciate the hard work that is occurring both at Hawthorne and Gage. And we can celebrate the fact that you, in many ways, capture what these programs are all about. Want to encourage you to keep moving forward and to share your story with other people so they can experience your success as well.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Yvonne, thank you. I think that your experiences and your expert perspectives on so many of the intersection of many of these programs is unique and really informative for us. And I'm really grateful that you were willing to take this time to talk with us. So thank you so much. And we'll be in touch for more conversation and hopefully some more collaboration in the future.
Okay,
if you're open to that.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day.
And we wish you well. Congratulations on that baby coming any day now.
Yes, next month.
Next month. Okay, we
Yes.
have a few days.
Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. Take care. Bye-bye. All right. I know Yvonne needs to exit because she was she was on her break at work while she joined us. So that was very nice. I didn't even tell her thank you, but in Spanish. But I'll follow up with her again. All right. So really good to hear her perspectives and on that topic. And thank you for those of you. I know we have people transitioning here. For anybody who's able to stay, we're going to wrap up at 11:30. So I know we have lots of different schedules for different people. So take care of your own needs and your school needs, whatever is necessary. That's just fine. But on point, I wanted to just note that talking points, which is one of the initiatives in our equity and engagement department, talking points to date, we have had over 400,000 messages exchanged since September 1st. And when Yvonne was talking about languages or messages that come in language, I think some of her messages might be coming from the Spanish immersion program in Spanish, and then a variety of messages in the district are being exchanged with talking points. So talking points is the messaging platform that Rochester Public Schools has contracted with, and we have that contract for another couple of years. And messages can be typed in any language, actually, and then translated into the preferred message of the receiver. So if a teacher, for example, types a message to a family in English, then they send that message out and it translates into the preferred language of the family. It syncs with Skyward every night, and that's how the languages are identified. If a family prefers, sometimes a family's language might be identified in Skyward as a specific language, but if that family prefers to have their messages in a different language or in English, we can change that on the app so that the family gets the messages in the language that they want. But 13% of the messages that have been exchanged so far are in 45 languages other than English. And as you might expect, the languages most translated are Spanish, Somali, and Arabic. And then, of course, 42 more languages that are getting translated in the district. Does anybody have any comments or questions about talking points? Yes. Natalie, go ahead.
I just have to say we set this up with Step Into Learning with our families. The teachers were able to do that then, so it really helped increase our student or our parent engagement on that. And one thing that we have found very helpful is when we are unable to get a translator right away, our nurse is able to message on talking points and communicate with the family that way if a student needs to be picked up or is ill or injured. That has been a huge thing for us this year, is being able to communicate with families that way. And we get a lot of response from parents on talking points. So just a highlight for us.
Glad to hear that. That those anecdotal experiences are really helpful to hear. We've heard of similar kinds of circumstances like that. Particularly, families seem receptive to it because it can appear either as a text message, or a family can download the app for their phone. It can be used through the app, and that's free for families, of course. But it seems as if what we're hearing is that families are more responsive to those text messages or the app messages than they would be to a phone call, for example. Some increased comfort and responsiveness. Oh, Deborah, go ahead. don't want to miss.
Yeah, I just wondered if the app supports a audible translation for families who may not have the literacy skills even in a home language.
Great question. Yes, it has the, I don't remember what they call it exactly on Talking Points, but it's a text to speech feature. And so you click on the little, it's like a little speaker. And I have to be honest with you, I haven't listened to it myself. So I'm going to write myself a note, Deborah, to test it out and see what the sound is like, because I know sometimes it has a better, certain apps may sound more authentic than others, but it does have a text-to-speech feature. So I'll write that down and check on that and see if the text-to-speech feature, you know, has an authentic quality to it and is effective. But I have seen it and it should be useful. And Julie mentions that the language preference change sometimes get reset with the Skyward sync. And yes, there have been a few things along the way, since what happens every night is Skyward syncs to ClassLink, and Talking Points is built upon ClassLink. And early on in the fall, we had just a few glitches with the coding. When I say we, I don't know about the coding. Talking Points is in sort of my domain area, but I work with RPS IT. Melissa Domnick is our Talking Points expert. And so she and Talking Points worked out the correct coding and figured that out. And I think that sometimes, Julie, there's still an issue with that syncing, that some of the changes that are made get reset and go back to the default. And they're still working through a few of those details. So I'll put a note in that they can continue to refine some of those features.
I think some family education is helpful for this, giving people a heads up about what Talking Points is or what it looks like when you start to use it. I know when I've sent messages out, because I'm not a classroom teacher, I work sort of behind the scenes in the school. When I send a message to groups, like we have a running club or we have a walking school bus, so when I send it out to them, sometimes they get 3 or 4 auto-generated messages from Talking Points that come before my message. And so it feels a little bit spammy when they're getting that. And so we have some families that are very happy to finally receive a message in their home language, and they've shared that they're very excited when they see it come in a language that's not English, so they can understand better. And then we have other families that are kind of annoyed by how spammy it feels sometimes. But it's been a really great way that we can send out some reminders for the week ahead too. So if we have something happening on Monday, we can auto send a message Sunday evening to remind families. And it's something that teachers don't have to be at a computer to send it. They can set that to send it ahead of time. But we've used it a lot for multilingual families here, and it's been really helpful for outreach or communicating with families. But we have had a few families say, can you please stop sending this in this other language? And we're like, we're sending it in English. But there is a way on the teacher end where we can keep changing that back to English, but it keeps getting reset. So if you're finding yourself in that position where you have to change it back to English, just keep note of who you're doing that for, because you'll want to keep checking on that.
And I'll check into that about, maybe there's a way to, again, that we can do some sort of setting on the RPS IT side of things or on the Talking Point side of things, so that it doesn't keep getting reset over and over. I'll check into that. Thanks for bringing it up. And Director Barlow brought up that question of how can we, make sure that families are aware of the existence of the app. And one of the things that I have been doing now that I'm about 4 months into my position and we're about 4 months into Talking Points, I've been looking at the data analytics for the app and noting that about 1/3 of our schools are using it really full force, and about 1/3 of our schools are using it for some purposes, some teachers, and about 1/3 of our schools have been kind of waiting a little bit. There wasn't a mandate to use it right away. It was new, and there are a lot of other initiatives at the beginning of the year, all of those things. Now that we've kind of worked through some of the bugs, and we're getting, you know, things on track. One of my goals now is to reach out to those schools that have not yet initiated their use of talking points, and it might take, you know, a few months to get everybody on board, but to start reaching out and making sure that I can get the correct information to those schools so that they can begin that rollout process as well. So the families really need the school to bring it to them first, because of getting them all connected. And so that's a goal over the next few months. And as well as, I think somebody also brought up, as well as professional development for our staff in a variety of ways, including ways to send messages that translate well. We're hearing from families if people use talking points, sometimes shorter messages can be more effective because it comes through like a text message. So shorter messages, and sometimes simplifying the vocabulary, not because of concern about vocabulary, but just the translation can have multiple meanings if the vocabulary is really complicated. So those are a couple of things. And continuing that professional development with our staff, I think will help ensure that the messaging is more effective as well. All right, was there anything there in the chat that I missed, or questions or comments?
I have a question for Julie.
Yes.
And Riverside, I guess, if you guys are using it too. And John Adams, I see. Do you guys use Skyward messages on top of talking points messages? Okay. Because I know that's kind of where people are like, oh, well, why if we send it talking points, are we sending it Skyward? But we're just trying to reach more families. So we have not done whole school talking points. So I'd love to learn more about that from you, Julie, or whoever. But our teachers are using it. And my second is, I know we've had some discussion about teaching our caregivers about using Skyward. I wonder if we'd be able to have how to use talking points, like a session. I don't remember which school it was you shared that went out to I can't think of which apartment complex you went to.
Oh, sure, the Gates apartment.
The Gates, yes. I was going to call it the Gauge, but the Gates. And then you did that Skyward kind of 101 with them. I wonder if that's something we can also do with talking points if we choose to continue rolling it out.
Great ideas. So with talking points, I know that some schools have been doing workshops like they do with Skyward. Here's how we use Skyward. Here's how we use talking points. Willow Creek had one recently where they had kind of a rotation of stations. So one station they had in Somali language, how to use Skyward, and then they'd rotate to how to use talking points. And then there was another one, I think it was about understanding the MCA or something. There was some other third station. And there was also a Spanish language group and an English language group. And so they would rotate through the stations. But it's a fantastic idea to think about how can we do those kinds of workshops in the future for families so that talking points is more accessible. Besides just the language, sometimes it's the technology, the navigation of the app and its features. So those are fantastic ideas that we can promote in the future. Joanne, yes.
Hi, so I just had one comment about talking points. So we've been using it a lot for PTA and just forwarding our messages to our assistant principal to put out. The one limitation that we found though is that it's really just for messages that are a few sentences long. if you want to send a bigger document or more than a few sentences, you have to put it on as an attachment, and then that attachment doesn't translate. So that's we're trying to figure out how to work around that, because we can't really shift all to talking points, because if you want to send out something more than just this event at this time or whatever, you can't really be that thorough.
So it sounds like, Joanne, that idea. Well, first of all, I'm glad that it's working to utilize for some of the messaging so that it's getting out to families, at least some of the basic information. That's a good point, that we can attach PDFs and videos and photos and things like that. It does not translate a PDF though, and so it would have to be a pre-translated PDF that would get uploaded. That's true, and a good point. And the translation, the broader topic of translation, is something that we're having discussion about in the equity and engagement department, because it's a topic that is really important for us to think about. There are a variety of different ways that school sites are doing their translations right now. Sometimes we use the interpreters, sometimes schools are using, some Google Docs features to translate simple flyers. And so there are some more conversations in the future about that. Yeah, really good points. All right, now I know that we could have lots more discussion, and I always plan so much that we never get to everything. But next month, we're going to have kind of a working session on the family engagement model, the Minnesota Family Engagement Model. So some of you know, because you work with me on the DISC group, the Family Engagement DISC group, we are working on selecting our family engagement model. We have kind of selected a framework and are working with the Minnesota Family Engagement Model as well. And I'd like to bring to our committee some of the questions that we're going to be wrestling with to get input and feedback from this committee. So next month, we're going to plan to do that. Today, I'll just tell you about these last couple of updates that are in the slides, and I'll send the slides out later. So of course, RPS updates that are current. Kindergarten registration is coming up. The superintendent shared about how we decide about snow days. There's a great video, The Superintendent in the Halls. If you haven't seen it yet, the link is on the updates page here. Calendars for 23-24 are accessible and can be shared with families. And school board study session tonight. Those are a few of the updates and links that will come out on the slides later. Reminder that the Title I Lending Library is located out here at FSC, which is where I am, and Jennifer Clampy, our administrative support, takes care of checking those items out, including snowshoes, which are the popular thing this month. So snowshoes are accessible. I don't know if Khadija is still with us. Khadija, are you still here? She maybe had to leave. I think she had to leave. I saw that she was here earlier, but some of you maybe saw Khadija in the paper the other day, co-design regarding homeownership disparity, and the article about Khadija and the co-design team was really impressive and impactful. So sometime we can maybe hear a little bit more from Khadija and Pamoja Women. We collaborate with quite a bit, but I just wanted to take note of that work that she's done. A reminder about the SHIP grants that are going to be due coming up in a couple of weeks. If anyone is interested in pursuing the SHIP grant for healthy kids, they collaborate quite a bit with Rochester Public Schools. I'm not sure if Joanne is still here with us or not. She was here for a while too, but her contact info is there. And of course, L1 and the Beam portal. There are lots of new events, community events that are listed there. So I'll include this link in the slides that I send out later so that you can keep up with that calendar. Sarah Taha was here earlier as well, and a reminder from her about the Families First of Minnesota and being able to access support and resources for those who are taking care of children in a less formal way than a child care setting. So can contact her. And there was a request from someone to share out about the global markets that are taking place in Rochester over the winter that are also a family event. So global markets taking place at the fairground in January, February, and March with some cultural events as well. There's a survey that I think I'm going to actually just hold until February. So I'm going to just bypass this. We'll come back to that in February. And our next meeting is going to be Valentine's Day. Is that okay? Will you meet on Valentine's Day? Yes, because you love family engagement, right? We'll make it fun. I promise. And if you need to contact me, I'll include my contact information in the slides as well. And I would love to hear from you about questions, comments, concerns, any things that you feel like you want to bring to me from your school sites or your families. I'm always happy to connect with you and collaborate about family engagement. So with that, it is 11:31. I kept you a tiny bit long, and thank you so much for being here. I'm grateful for your commitment to family engagement in Rochester Public Schools. I'll stay on for a few minutes if anyone wants to visit at all, and otherwise, comments, questions before we wrap up.
Thank you for all you do, Jennifer.
Thank you to all of you. I'm grateful, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon. Take care, everybody. Have a good rest of your week. I'm going to stop the recording, and then we can talk.